Hi, this is Life Coach David. Thanks for listening to the Law of Attraction podcast. I'm a certified and very experienced Law of Attraction life coach. And if you want to find out more about me and life coaching from me, you can go to lifecoachdavid.com and you can contact me through there. And today I'm going to continue reading from Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, which has some wonderful Law of Attraction information in it. Even though it was written a while ago, the information is still really good, and the author has a very funny way of explaining things sometimes, but that makes us laugh, which is good. And before I start reading today, I just wanted to share a dream that I had last night. I was actually listening to Abraham Hicks on YouTube. I was listening to a lecture, and during the lecture, I fell asleep. Then I started dreaming, and in my dream, one of my best friends was reciting the lecture that I was hearing from my phone. And that was kind of interesting because I remember in my dream, we were walking together and she was saying the same thing that Esther Hicks was saying from my phone. And I kept looking at my friend and I was thinking, wow, she knows a lot about the law of attraction. That's amazing. And then it reached the point where I said to her, okay, enough information. It's too much information. And then in my dream, she gave me a weird look. And then I woke up. And when I woke up, I heard the lecture playing on my phone. So that was kind of an amazing dream. I never experienced that before, where something in this reality transferred into my dreaming state. That was pretty amazing. And now I'm going to continue reading from Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. And this next section is called Greased Slides. There she goes again with a funny title, Greased Slides. Right in the middle of that year of years, when the mortgage business and income was pouring in so fast it was laughable, I had an idea. I really didn't need any ideas, as my wants were streaming in faster than I had time to enjoy. Nonetheless, I had an idea, and it blew me away. The idea came while I was in the shower one night when, for some reason I don't remember, I was really buzzing. And I have to tell you, my first response out loud to what came in was, "Give me a bloody break. You've got to be kidding." The idea was to do an infomercial, a half-hour TV commercial for an unusually large and complex self-help product that I had not yet created, had never even thought about, and for which I had not the slightest notion where to begin. The whole concept was mad and totally illogical. I was up to my armpits in a booming mortgage business, in the middle of the biggest year I had ever had, and was suddenly being downloaded with droves of ideas about producing a TV program about which I knew nothing. Insane. Not to mention that it would cost 14 arms and a leg to accomplish, take an inordinate amount of talent to coordinate, and be a full-time job for someone who knew what the hell they were doing, which I most assuredly did not. Never mind, I hadn't even turned out the product. But my valve was open, even though I didn't understand that. My frequencies were high, and everywhere I looked, I saw only positive conditions. So the ideas for having fun kept coming, whether I was asking for them or not. Just 4 months after getting the idea, then manifesting the staggering sums of dollars to pay for the lavish production of the product, and the sums required for the first-class production of a TV show, and the dollar or two required to purchase extensive coast-to-coast TV time, and the time to write, narrate, act in, and produce it all. I was filming on location with a sizable professional crew. Just 4 months, that's all it took. By March of the following year, I was on the air promoting Life Course 101, the monumental audiovisual home study course I had authored on inner growth. Amazing. I was performing the work of a dozen people, running one business and creating another, while authoring and producing an elaborate new program by myself in almost vintage years. To be sure, most of my friends thought I had gone mad. But what they didn't know was how effortlessly everything was materializing. There was no hi-ho silvering, no frantic pushing or shoving. This time I was connected. Everything flowed as if on a greased slide. Pieces fell magically into place. I'd wonder how to do something. The answers would float in, and I'd easily accomplish whatever needed to be done. No fret, no worry, and not a doubt in the world. Truly, I was having a ball. Sure, it was a lot of work, but it was easy work because the plays were being called straight from the sidelines by my guidance coach. Any problems that came up were solved as fast as they appeared. Everything for both companies kept falling into perfect alignment. I was in the flow of life. I never questioned a new idea or a new direction, for the how-tos were always right behind the idea, and never once did I fall down or feel down, and never once did I feel down. Spontaneity became my middle name. I stopped worrying about time. The high-frequency magnetics emanating from me were so powerful, they were mobilizing the next circumstances and events for me to walk into almost before I had finished the last ones. I was dazzled by what was happening, yet all I was doing, without knowing it, was flowing positive feel-good energy and implementing the inspired ideas that were coming in a steady stream. It doesn't get more exciting than that. The signs, the signs, the signs. How many times have you said to yourself, I just got a hit or a hunch or a gut feeling to go there? And so you did. You went there and then found out it was a good thing you did. You were following your guidance. Or you got a crazy idea to try such and such, and you did, and it was a success because it was fun. You were following your guidance. But you don't have to be starting a new business to have ideas or hunches or insights. Whether your want is to find the fastest way around the traffic downtown or to find a new mate, all you have to do is pay attention to the signs that will come and make it happen, and learn to trust them. A phone call that comes out of the blue from an old friend, a TV show you normally don't watch, a feeling you got to read something or call someone or take the other road instead, these are all gentle little shoves from your expanded self, your inner, outer guidance helping you stay on course towards your joy, even if it's just a better parking place in the rain. You've blasted feel-good energy out there, mixed it with wants, created coordinators of energy flow into massive vortexes, and now you step into those vortexes. The guidance comes. Your impulses to act, to do this, go there, call them, are coming from that magnetic activity initiated by your focused energy. Shortly after embarking on this new path of deliberate creation, I was on my way to Portland in my beloved old '77 Mercury Monarch, a car that had been rebirthed many times since I've had it because I loved the thing. New engines, new thises, new that's, but because of its age, my mechanics had recommended I start using a synthetic oil to reduce wear and tear. That was fine, except not only were synthetic oils somewhat rare at the time, this was some weirdo brand that had to be special ordered out of town. I hadn't been out of the house farther than the grocery store for ages, and the 2-hour drive to Portland was more than welcomed. I put on some of my soaring music and was just about on the edge of high-frequency bliss. An hour later, flowing energy to this and that, when I remembered I hadn't put in much needed oil. I usually carried a couple of quarts of the oddball stuff in the car, but had forgotten that too. And that prospect of finding this kind of oil that was never to be mixed with any other kind, of course, was between zip and forget it along that farmland stretch of freeway in southern Washington. I drove a few more miles, wondering what to do, when I got a hit to pull off at the next exit. Since I was pretty much following my hunches without hesitation by then, I shrugged my shoulders and pulled off into a desolate country road not more than a quarter mile from the freeway. What I found looked like an old abandoned mining town or a ghost town replete with cockeyed, broken down buildings, all boarded up and so dilapidated they were tilting. I didn't see signs of life anywhere, but for some reason I stopped the car and got out, strangely aware that I was not questioning my decision to pull off the freeway or thinking things like, what in the hell am I doing here? But just going along with the strange lead. Then I saw it and couldn't believe my eyes. Not 50 feet in front of the car was another broken down building with a hastily hand-painted sign that said, Auto Shop. I don't know how I'd missed it when I stopped, yet there it was, right smack in front of me. Dumbfounded, I walked in and asked if they carried any synthetic oil. Yes, they did, but they were sorry that the only kind they carried was Blurp, just the kind I needed. Yes, ma'am, our last 2 quarts right over there. My head was whirling when I got back into the car. Sure, I was thrilled and excited beyond words. Sure, I was overjoyed to see the law of attraction so blatantly in action, but truthfully, I was numb. It was all so bloody obvious, so indisputable. My vibrations had been at an all-time peak. Then came a pressing requirement, but without an ounce of resistance, such as, I'm in trouble, I'll never find it, what'll I do? With my vibrations at that pitch, I had instantly magnetized the solution, receiving loud and clear directions from my expanded self in the form of a super strong hunch which I decided to follow. But man alive, how melodramatic can you get? How did it happen? Who knows? Who cares? I got the hit, trusted it, acted on it, and it worked. The point is to get off autopilot and pay attention. Listen, stay alert for that little push. Watch for signs, tune into hunches. If it feels good, it's guidance. Most of us don't let ourselves believe something can happen unless we can see ahead of time how all the pieces are going to fit together. So start watching for clues. Watch for the masterful coming together as all the missing parts take form and start dropping into places like magic. Now you've entered the uncanny world of synchronicity. You're plugged in, connected to your source energy, going with the flow. But you'll never see it or learn to trust it if you're not watching for it. Wow, what an amazing story that she got off at that exit and they happened to have that oil she needed. That's pretty unbelievable. And that is law of attraction in action. So go Lynn, that's fantastic. And the next section is called Without Hesitation. With the possible exception of prayer, which is more often a plea from a closed rather than an open valve, precious few of us were ever taught to go inside, shut up, and listen, much less follow. Follow what? Listen to whom? Nonsense. Take a pill. That's just imagination. It has no substance, no intellectual, empirical data to back it up. I love how we pretend that something doesn't exist, then turn right around and name it. We turn our noses up at divine guidance, but curiously give it this wide range of names like gut feeling, motivation, hit, intuition, sense, inspiration, impulse, urge, premonition, desire, imagination. It's all guidance. The real you sending messages from the infinite intelligence you are, doing everything in its power to pass on some ideas or direction before you shut down again. Guidance is soul talk, God talk, inner being talk, expanded self talk, cosmic escort talk. Guidance does whatever is necessary to get our attention and help us step into our wants, be it oil for the car or a new hair for a shining head. But to make it work, we've got to learn to trust what we're picking up on the station. A couple who are mortgage clients of mine, I'll call them George and Sally, were a little shaken when I got their home one evening to take their loan application. When I asked what was wrong, George said he and his wife had just missed being in a serious 8-car pileup on the freeway, and they were still feeling really spooked about the whole thing. They worked at different places, but commuted together. Seems they were coming home from work on the freeway as usual, and George was beginning to get antsy being stuck behind a large red wobbly truck in front of them. So he decided to change lanes. Out of nowhere, Sally said, "Honey, don't do that. We've got to get off this freeway right now." There was the customary explosion about how silly that was. Then finally, to keep the peace, George turned off at the next exit and headed for some very out-of-the-way back roads. When they got home, George switched on the local TV news as usual and saw his wobbly red truck in the middle of a pileup, squashed between two cars, not a mile down the freeway from where they had exited. There were 2 fatalities. That was one tuned-in lady who followed her guidance without hesitation. How many of us would have listened, much less acted by taking another road? The cosmic joke is that we were designed to do just that, to live by our senses, not by our brains. But over the eons, we've learned to think our responses instead of feel them, totally backwards from the way all the rest of nature lives. Animals and plants do it, live by their senses, while all of us closed down, disconnected humans snicker at it. But when you really start playing the feel-good game, I promise it's better than an all-day ticket to Disneyland. I don't know, I really like Disneyland, but I'll just keep reading. You listen and do, listen and do, listen and do, trusting your guidance without hesitation. So if you have 5 dozen friends and family telling you to do this, but your deepest impulse is to do that, always, always follow your impulse, provided it feels good. Why? Just do it a few times and you'll see why. Your guidance system is doing all it knows how to get you where you want to go, to follow your original intent. So give it a chance. Tune in and listen up. That expanded self knows what it's doing. And the next section is called the final step. Therein lies the 4th and final step in the process of creating by design. The first, you remember, is to identify what we don't want. The second is to clarify and state what we do want. The third is to get into the feeling place of those wants. And now the 4th, step 4, expect it. Listen and allow the universe to bring it. Translated, that means no more pounding something into place to make it happen. It means we tune in and listen to our guidance. It means we follow what we get without hesitation. It means we stop trying to figure out how we could ever make our want transpire, because we aren't the ones who have to figure it out anyhow. All we have to do is act on the inspirations coming from our expanded self, keep our valve open, expect that our want is on its way, then step back and let the universe do its thing, staying out of the trap of impatience as much as possible. For that matter, even staying out of patience, because patience is just a closed valve pretending to be open with all its focus on what hasn't happened. The universe is a better organizer than you could ever think of being. So give it a chance and stay out of the way. You've given the universe a task. You've sent out your magnetic energy. Now settle back and allow the manifestation to unfold. And that's the end of that section. Doesn't that sound good to you? That sounds so calm and so right. Just to relax, sit back, and allow it to unfold. I'm for that. And that was a great section. I mean, it's so easy to get in the way of what we want because we get so concerned with how it's going to happen, and we get all involved and it feels hard. And she's just suggesting just do the opposite. You know, when it comes to the law of attraction, it's all about how high or low we're vibrating, how open or closed our valve is. So if we all could just sit back, relax, and just allow what we want to happen, it has to manifest. And what she says for step 4, expect it, listen, and allow the universe to bring it, that could be hard for us, because how can we expect it if we don't know how it's going to happen. That's how most people think. But if you can just get into that expectation, that feeling of expecting it, and just relax into allowing, it will manifest. It's kind of like when you drive to the market, you don't ever question if you're going to get there. You don't get halfway to the market and think, oh, I haven't gotten there yet. I better turn around and go back home. When you leave to the market, you have this expectation, this undeniable expectation that you're going to get to the market. You're so sure about it, you don't even think about it. So if we can be that way with things we want to manifest, it's going to happen. So as I usually suggest, listen to this podcast again, because there was a lot of great subtle information in there. And if you want some wonderful law of attraction coaching to help you with all this, you can go to lifecoachdavid.com and you can contact me through there. And I do offer a free mini phone coaching session. So actually, it doesn't matter where you live. I live on the East Coast in the US, but since I do phone coaching, we just have to schedule a time that works for both of us. Thanks for listening. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the podcast and that you're learning a lot and you're learning wonderful law of attraction information that you can use in your own life to help you attract what you want, to help you feel as good as possible. Have a wonderful, high vibration day.